Hi, this is Mike Murphy. I'm going to be taking you through a little storyboard of my online game called The Curious Case of the Kidnapped Cool, and I'm doing it through the TouchCast app today. First of all, the purpose for this game, I am a high school English teacher, and one of the things we struggle with mightily as an English staff is getting students to explain their quotes, or as we call it, evidence, in their writing, in their paragraph writing. So we wanted to come up with a way to show them that using evidence to support a cause in writing an essay is really no different than how the police and detectives use evidence to convict a criminal. So we thought it'd be kind of a fun way to, incorporate that concept and kind of hammer it home to the kids. So the educational benefit of this game is kind of what I just mentioned. It's a way for kids to see how evidence in their writing is so important in helping prove their thesis and support what they're writing. And a lot of times they think that just because they pull a quote from a certain source, it automatically means it's a good quote or good evidence. So we're trying to show them the difference between, good, better, and best evidence when you're trying to incorporate it into a paragraph or an essay. So, it's let's see, I think we kind of identified it as a constructivist approach to, this learning, in that the kids are able to kind of acquire their own schema as they go through this game, and it'll make a little more sense as the game kind of moseys along here. So I guess we could just get started while we're at it, and off we go. So yeah, it's called The Curious Case of the Kidnapped Cool, and I kind of use this, I get the storyboard, that app, to kind of get it going here. So off we go. Okay, so the objectives. Here's what I would do. I would show the kids this opening sequence to start, and I would say, all right, at the beginning, while you're reading through this mystery story, keep track of any pieces of evidence that can be used to convict the thief. Very simple, very primitive concept, but really at the end it's going to greatly help hammer this point home. Now, in this storyboard that you're going to see, there's 3 really basic pieces of evidence that are going to be used to convict the criminal, Mrs. Lois Dinwiddie, which you'll meet on the next slide. But so there's 3 pieces of evidence, and kids will really be able to see by the end that all 3 of them, while solid pieces of evidence, there is a hierarchy of good, better, and best, and that's what we want to get them to understand, picking the best evidence to support their claim in their writing. So, moving on. Okay, so the backstory. This is kind of what we'd say. We'd say, on a Monday morning in September, as the 8 a.m. school bell rang, Blue Island police stormed the campus at 127th and Elm Street, hell-bent on capturing the marauder that had been terrorizing the student population at Dwight D. Eisenhower High School. Mrs. Lois Dinwiddie, a longtime English teacher at the school, was taken into custody on suspicion of robbing countless students of their collective cool. So you get your little picture there, the 2 angry cops, and the teacher, Miss Dinwiddie, who is obviously not looking too happy there. Okay, so the next slide. Cool, as the students know, is the chemical that separates students in their precious popularity from becoming lame and boring, characteristics commonly found in teachers. Without cool, a student very quickly and easily loses friends, becomes interested in studying, and decides to deactivate such modern avenues for individual expressions as Snapchat and Twitter. It is a substance crucial for any possibility of social survival at the high school level. So obviously in the picture you see a couple kids hanging out by their lockers, and there's Mrs. Dimwitty in the background creeping on them, ready to take their cool from them. So the next sequence is, they take Miss Dimwitty behind bars, but this is the point. So in order for her to stay behind bars for a conviction, we're looking for cold, hard evidence. Much like in writing a paper, you need cold, hard evidence to support your thesis statement, to support your, claims in your paragraphs. Okay, so this is where the story kind of gets going here. So the previous night, before Dimwitty was convicted, a popular sophomore student named Jenny, here for her protection, had stayed late at school to finish up a particularly cutting-edge dance routine with the school dance team. After busting several moves with the team to a particularly hot mix of Drake, Avicii, and Meek Mill, the student went to her locker to retrieve her book bag. This was the last thing she remembered before waking up in a daze. When she popped her iPod in, all of her Gaga and Rihanna had been replaced with country music and audiobooks. The reality of her condition began to set in when she noticed herself raising the roof, a dance move that had become extinct somewhere in the mid-1990s. Sadly, the reality had set in for Jenny. Her cool was gone, viciously stolen from her. So, as Dimwitty was cuffed and placed in the back of a Blue Island Police Department squad car, she was heard proclaiming her innocence. "I was at home last night grading thesis statements and watching Dancing with the Stars. Ask my husband." And, the storyboard, hilarious little frame there shows Dimwitty on the couch with what appears to be her rabbi husband, watching Dancing with the Stars. But was this the truth or simply an alibi or a lie? So in the weeks that followed, the real story began to unfold. When the police questioned her husband Biff about her whereabouts the night Jenny's cool was stolen, he admitted that his wife had stayed at school late that night, claiming she had to prepare lesson plans and revise difficult common unit assessments. By the time she had arrived home, he said, it was already 9:30 p.m. Interesting. So, another key witness that night had been Mr. Clean, a 20-year janitor who works the night shift at the school. He acknowledged that he had seen Mrs. Dimwitty in her room working late the night of the incident. As he knocked on her classroom door to do his nightly sweep, he noticed she quickly minimized her computer screen, but not before he saw it was open to a foreign page he had never heard of before, some website called Twitter. When he apologized for surprising her, she responded with a suspiciously hip saying for a teacher and woman of her age, "It's lit. We're all good." Okay, so, finally, in the trunk of her 1992 Toyota Crapola, detectives found 15 vials of glistening blue, ice-cold substance, which was cool. Scientists say that cool, when extracted from the most popular students, glistens blue and gives off the hue of radioactive ice. Finally, the 15 unfortunate souls who were starting to accept their fate as nerds would see justice served. They would finally regain their cool. So the three pieces of evidence, as corny as it sounds, were: one, her husband not supporting her alibi, saying, "No, she wasn't with me watching Dancing with the Stars. She was at school late last night working on her lesson plans." The second one was that that she was on the internet late that night at school, and the janitor saw her on Twitter, which is very surprisingly hip for a woman of her age. That was two. And then finally she's caught red-handed with the glistening vials of cool in the trunk of her car. So obviously, and it's a very basic principle, but the evidence goes from least convincing with the alibi that she was at home to most convincing, where they literally catch her with the case of cool in her car. So Then finally the story ends. So, caught red-handed, Louise Dinwiddie would never again victimize the students at Dwight D. Eisenhower High School. In the end, it was clear that Mrs. Dinwiddie had been deviously jealous of her students' cool. As she sat crying in her jail cell, she confessed that her drive to steal the cool allowed her to finally be something different from what she had always been, a lame. So anyways, when we get to the end of this, this mystery story detective game, they need to rank the pieces of evidence from least to most effective in forcing a conviction of Mrs. Dinwiddie. And obviously we're shooting for them to identify that, yes, the 3 pieces of evidence were all good, but the most convincing was the vials of the substance that they found in the trunk of her car. So ultimately, they make that connection that, not all evidence is created equal, whether it's in, criminal trials or writing our essays. So hopefully that would drive home the point that they need to really do their diligence when looking for quotes to incorporate in their essays. Okay, so anyways, this is a very basic little parable game to get them started, and I would probably go back and edit so it's kind of like a self-paced game, some sort of clickable thing. It's still in the works in the process, but I think I would probably do a voiceover read as well of it, so that they can kind of hear the pacing and the timing of it. But yeah, I think though it is a simple game, it really serves its purpose. So appreciate you listening, and thanks a lot. Bye-bye.